Hello my friends, nice to meet you again. And these are the Olympic rings. If you like it, then you should have put 5 rings on it. People usually get up in arms about the specific logos created for certain cities. London, now Paris. One design that doesn't get enough cred on the design streets is the original 5 rings logo, which was designed in 1912 and has never been redesigned since, as it has stood the test of time. The original logo was designed by this man, Pierre de Coubertin, who was a baron. I don't know what a baron is, but for sure he was a poet, as he won a gold medal for literature in the 1912 Olympics, which also happens to be the year that he kind of put it together. Nothing suspicious here. Unfortunately, I cannot contact him about getting Twix bar eating inserted as an Olympic event because he died in 1937. Rest in peace, man. There's been a lot of conversation, and some people have been DMing me about the new Olympic logo design for Paris 2024. That thing in the middle, when I saw it, I thought it was a mustache. Today, we will be ranking 13 of the last summer Olympic logo designs based on my beautiful scale here. Let me just review the categories real fast. Number 1. The best Olympic sport of all time. It's not even in the Summer Olympics. They should figure out how to do that though. It's in the Winter Olympics. And if you're looking for excitement on the edge of your seat, then you need to watch the Olympic sport of curling. Second off, we have track and field. Most people agree that it's pretty great to watch. Third, we have gymnastics. A lot of small people flying through the air. It's very impressive. Fourth, we have literature. Fifth, we have the communications degree. We're getting into the real bad stuff now. And last place, we have an empty fridge. How rough is that? Okay, my hot dogs and wiener buns, let's get started. First off, we have the Olympic logo for Montreal 1976. It's very cool. It's a geometric logo, but the only problem I see we have is just the amount of lines that overlap. The Olympic logo itself only works because it's different colors. So it makes all of the circles look like they're separated things. When all the circles are together in one color and this close to each other and have other lines going over it, it gets all a little bit complicated, even though it probably is the geometrically neatest out of everything. I am going to give it a literature rating. Next up, we have the Olympics from 1980. These were in Moscow. Okay, setting aside all political things that we may attach to this kind of symbolism, we'll just look at it graphically, and I'll say it's a pretty good logo. It's kind of what Montreal wanted to do in terms of geometry, being really clean and clear, but it definitely doesn't show off too much of like the sport and athleticism side of the events. So for that reason, I'm just gonna put it 1 above, and we'll put it in gymnastics. Excellent. Next up, we have 1984, which were held right here in the city of Los Angeles. This is an interesting design, 3 stars, showing a lot of movement. That's really nice because I think it shows an example of what you can expect from the games. People moving quickly. I think it just gets a little bit quite complicated when you have so many lines coming off the stars and then you have multiple stars stacked on top of each other. And then the font, what they've done with the font is really just insane. They've just put so much stuff everywhere, so close to each other. In terms of an idea, very good. In terms of execution, not really good. So I'm gonna put it down here in communications degree. Fourth up, we have Seoul, 1988. This is the capital of South Korea. This little spinny thing is something very close to their culture, I believe. I've seen it in other places. It has a lot of movement. The colors are great. Impact is nice. But where it gets a little bit crazy is just the trail off at the end there, that they have so many small pieces coming off each track. But it does look like different lanes in the Olympic track. I like that a lot. I'm going to put it up with gymnastics. It could have got to a track and field status if they had simplified it some. We have one in Barcelona from 1992. This is a nice little character, probably gymnasticking or hopefully curling. If I was going to choose one to redesign to give it the most impact, I would probably choose this one, because all we'd have to do is just remove that light gray shadow that they added for some reason, and then make the colors the same as the colors in the Olympic rings. I think that would be super easy. As of right now, it's not really that great looking. I'm just gonna put it here in literature. Okay, next up we have Atlanta, 1996. The idea here is very cool, but honestly, it's not done that well in terms of color or sizing or placement. We have some interesting colors with the purple. Yeah, that one's purple. And the blue and the magenta and the orange and the gold. And then they put it all on this forest green background. I don't know, man. I just can't get behind the color choices. I'm not certain why they would involve so many colors and then why they would choose to do it this way. The column and the fire are nice, but they kind of did mess it up with the colors and the amount of different stars going out and the placement of things. I don't think it's that great. I'm really sorry, Atlanta. I'm gonna also give you a communications degree. Okay, next up we have Sydney 2000. This one is the first one that I really like a lot. It has a lot of iconography and characteristics that make you think of Australia. If it didn't say Sydney and you had to guess what country it was from, you might say Australia. And then also it's a person in movement. It has just enough details to let you know what it is and give enough energy, but not too much where it overwhelms you with things. I would just put it in track and field for now. Next up, we have Athens 2004. This one is really quite pleasant to look at. It's not really simple or geometric. It really does show some of the grandeur of the games and give you a connection to the history of it as it's being held in Athens. I really like that a lot. And it has a lot of character in the design. I'm gonna give that one a curling status. I like that one a lot. Next up, we have Beijing in 2008. I'm pretty sure the Olympic Games in Beijing started on August 8th, 2008. I believe 8 is a very lucky and good number in China, so that's why Beijing went with it. It's pretty cool. In terms of the icon itself, very well done. I think they were able to capture kind of the same idea that Sydney 2000 did, where they created a character in movement with a strong shout out to the history of the country. And how does it shout out to the history of the country? Well, it's red, but mostly the character looks like it was made with a calligraphic brush, and the Beijing 2008 down below looks like it was made with a shout out to calligraphy as well. I really like this logo. I think it's very strong. And the reason I'm putting it in curling and not track and field is because it's a little bit more impactful than Sydney because of the simplicity of the design and the colors. Next up, we have London 2012. This one got a lot of backlash when it first came out. I think Londoners actually signed a petition to try to get it redesigned when they first saw it. And I'm really in the same boat. I don't like it that much. It's just 2012. It's just the year of it. So the idea itself isn't really that great. The combination of shapes is kind of confusing. I think during the actual games, they tried to save it by not using this one. They used a simple magenta stylization of it, which is nice, but the placement of London being so small there and then the Olympic rings in that quasi circle square. This honestly looks like the blueprint for an apartment building. And the architect had been up for 16 years straight. Unfortunately, we have to give it an empty fridge as it to me doesn't shout out to London and it also doesn't shout out to the games at all. Next up, we have Rio 2016. This one is also quite nice. Has a lot of vibrancy, uses strong colors that make you think of Brazil. It feels like it's in a lot of motion, and I think this is the first one that depicts multiple athletes, which I think is a really strong idea. All the other ones have a single person in motion when they depict it that way, but this is a coming together of different nations. And the typography for it is also very interesting and works well with the icon. I am going to give this, you know what? I'm actually gonna switch these. I'm gonna put Athens in track and field, and I'm gonna put Rio in curling. Okay, next up we have Tokyo 2020, which I guess is coming up this year. I hope you tune in to watch me compete on the single horse. That's my event. For which country? The United States of Twix bars. This one, I think I'd have to do research to figure out what exactly they were going for, what it's referencing, or what it's shouting out, but I think the regular common person usually doesn't do research to figure out what this logo is talking about. I think it's showing a lot of energy. I mean, there's a lot of shapes, which kind of brings it down for me, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. This one, I just don't understand it, and if I was just a common person looking at it, I feel like I wouldn't understand it because I'd have to do research. I think it is more provocative than these other two. I will put it up to gymnastics level. Okay, lastly, we have Paris 2024. This one, I'm just gonna say it, It's not good. I was reading about it and they said it's like a shout out to Art Deco, and they talk a lot about the typography, which is good. The typography's fine. The only thing I have a problem with is really just those lips. I mean, they do look like a mustache rather than lips, because the Cupid's bow part here, it doesn't make a curve, it just comes together at an angled point. So yeah, definitely not my favorite. It is going to empty fridge level, so our fridge is no longer empty. Okay, design champos, here are the top 5 picks for the last, I don't know how many we did, like 14 Summer Olympic Games. Vote now in the poll. Which one is your favorite? So come back tomorrow morning to see me redesign the 5 worst Olympic designs. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And make sure to give the video a like if you also enjoy watching curling, or if your fridge has ever been empty. Okay, stay awesome possum, and I'll see you later, alligator. Bye guys.